Battle of Ohio will not be as intense as initially expected. The Browns have clinched up the 5 seed, while the Bengals have clinched up an early offseason vacation. So Brian and I, we're going to break down the game here, break down also to some of maybe like our offseason predictions, so to say, for the Bengals and kind of the Browns' overall Super Bowl outlook as the team is just shockingly still really good, one of the better teams in the league. But before we do that, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. Ryan and I were trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the postseason, so middle of February. So help us reach our goal and join our growing community. So like, subscribe, and Ryan, this game here, as I mentioned, was going to be. It seemed like a couple weeks ago, like everything it was going to come down to this game for both these teams. Wild card hunt it is still super intense with everything going on in the AFC, but Bengals unfortunately just fell short. Had a little losing streak, while the Browns somehow keep winning, get Joe Flacco off the couch. Kind of just what are your overall thoughts on both of these team seasons so far, and what are some of your expectations in the offseason for both these teams?
The Bengals, I mean, probably them and the Chargers are up there for most disappointing season for totally different reasons. I just think the Bengals, like you mentioned in the intro, just totally decimated with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know like where to start, but especially losing your starting quarterback, not just a starter, but a star in Joe Burrow, is going to set this team back a ton. Jamar
Well,
Chase,
and
T. Higgins, both missed time this
yeah,
year. This offensive line never really seemed to get in a rhythm, and yeah, it just was kind of a bad season for the Bengals, and I hope they can bounce back. They do have T. Higgins, who's a free agent. They have others as well, but and Jonah Williams. But T. Higgins is the big one. A decision there is going to be pretty crucial because I know there are a lot of teams that would love to have his services next year, and he's proved during the absence of Jamar Chase that
this looks like a good home right here for
yeah. Yeah, I mean, hell, look at the Patriots need him more than you guys. Uh,
you. Yeah,
so, I lost my train of thought.
sorry I distracted you
No, no,
there.
no, you're good. Uh, but so the decision there is going to be big, whether they tag and trade or just let him walk in free agency. I could see them adding to this group in this wide receiver group in with a high asset, maybe a first round draft pick. But then also, Jonah Williams going to need a right tackle spot. This defense actually has shaped up to be pretty good. I do think they should invest in that defensive interior, but again, not as big of a priority. And on the flip side, the Browns. I mean, you've kind of this has been your take mostly, but I mean, Myles Garrett really should be an MVP candidate just because of the how big of an effect he's had on this
Yeah.
Browns defense and just team as a whole because he is the face of that franchise. They're on their fourth quarterback and they're still winning games, and it is in a large part due to just how aggressive this defense plays and the kind of the situations that they put this offense in a lot of the time. And that is all thanks to Myles Garrett, who leads that group. And yeah, they're an extremely talented team. They're not locked in at the 5 seed. I think if
No, they're locked in at the 5 seed. I was looking at this because if the Bills lose, then they're going to have a worse record anyways. But
yeah,
if the Bills win and the Dolphins lose, the Browns will have a better conference record to
okay,
the Dolphins no matter what. So
okay,
they're locked in at the 5 seed.
okay,
So, and I was thinking about as well, like on who the Browns might play. And I would say like there's probably a second string game, but this is what's been so impressive with the Browns is it's been like a second string season. I feel for the
yeah.
Browns, outside of that defensive front, and a
Even the
majority of
offensive
the
line.
defense, huh?
I said, and like the offensive line also hasn't been super injured.
Oh no, I disagree. Jack Conklin went down the
Oh,
first
that's
week of
true.
the season. Then they had Dwan Jones just went down. Joel Patino went down. Let me even look it up here just to make
Yeah,
sure I'm
I
not
have it
missing
right here.
anybody. Uh, but then you have Nick Chubb. They're on their fourth quarterback. I mean, literally, Joe Flacco's he's a 38-year-old guy coming off the couch who can sling it. Deshaun Watson has been banged up a majority of the time. Jedrick Wills Jr. also. A lot of guys coming in and out of the lineup, and shoot. I didn't realize that DTR was on IR, but he's not needed anyways right now. Maybe next season, just because Joe Flacco is the guy. So, and that's what's just been so impressive here. And even the defense, luckily, has been fairly healthy overall. I know they've had some key injuries where guys were banged up, like for a game or two here throughout the season. I'm trying to see if maybe I'm missing anybody overall. I think majority of the injuries have been on the offensive line. There's some names here that maybe just I'm not recognizing.
So the interior stayed relatively. Actually, I don't see any injuries, but DeJuan Jones, Jedrick Wills, and Jack Conklin are all on injured reserve. DeJuan Jones is not placed on season-ending IR, but I believe there's some stipulations on if players can return during the playoffs or not.
So yeah, that's all stuff I'm not entirely sure. But still, either way, though, just to the Browns point, they've just been constantly injured, and yet then they still somehow win 11 games, could potentially win their 12th.
Yeah,
as well. Then on the Bengals, it's just a very unfortunate season injury-wise, going all the way back then to Joe Burrow's calf injury. Like, honestly, then some people were wondering if he was even going to start the season or potentially how much time he would miss. Then you're right, Jamar Chase was banged up for a majority of the time. T. Higgins had a very solid year in the contract year. And then losing B.J. Reader and DJ Ivey all in the same game, like essentially within the first quarter, I believe, of that Vikings game a couple of weeks back, which is kind of almost something similar to what happened last year where the Bengals offensive line was rolling, but then all their key guys started to get hurt, which really hurt them down the road overall, just in that overall effectiveness. So I do think this is going to be a swan song for a couple of key players for the Bengals. Maybe T. Higgins comes back. They give him a contract, have to kind of see what
I doubt it.
Is. Well, and I think that'll be up for debate. But I agree with you, probably so. I think to keep T. Higgins, this is where they're not going to re-sign Tyler Boyd, who's also who's also a free agent. At the same time, too, I think this could be Joe Mixon's last year. I'm curious about Bengals fans. Leave a comment about what your thoughts are on Chase Brown. I really liked what I've seen. I think he can be the guy as well. Also, too, I think we've seen now in the NFL that teams, if they can get a lot out of a fifth-round running back. I'm a Falcons fan. Tyler Allgeier's rookie year was a 1,000-yard rusher. I think they're going to go with that, and I think they're going to try and cut him, save some money in the cap space. I don't think his dead cap would be too much. I think maybe only like $2 million, if I'm remembering correctly. But if you're trying to keep T. Higgins, you're going to need that extra cash, that extra capital. And so I think Joe Mixon is expendable here. So I think there's going to be a couple guys where this is going to be their last game in Cincinnati. So it will be interesting just to watch and see kind of how the offseason unfolds. That's kind of what I'm most interested in. But let's get into our predictions here. But before we do that, if you haven't already and you're still here with us, thank you. Like and subscribe and ring the bell to get notified when we create new content. Ryan and I are trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the postseason. So help us reach our goal and also get a lot of Browns and Bengals content. Ryan, who do you have winning this game and why?
I'm going to go with the Bengals here. I just think the Browns, this is going to be a sit-'em kind of game. Amari Cooper is already ruled out. Elijah Moore is in concussion protocol, so that's already the Browns' top two pass catchers. I have to think that Joe Flacco will probably be taking limited snaps given the fact that he is 38. Myles Garrett will probably be on a pitch count as well. And then that doesn't even include Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, either of those guys. They're locked in at the 5 seed, and I just think that they don't have that much to play for. They're just going to try to rest up and be ready for next week. So.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Bengals as well. As I mentioned, this isn't even just a backup game for the Browns. It's a backup game, it seems. So going to go with the Bengals as well.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. You guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I have a goal of getting to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the postseason. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.